When you think about it, the sheer scale of movement happening every day,
Wow.
people, goods, it's it's immense.
It really is. Billions of journeys, tons of freight.
And when it works, you barely notice. But behind the scenes, especially in rail, there's this hidden world making it all safe and smooth. We're talking about wayside control systems.
Exactly. The tech alongside the tracks, it's like the railway's nervous system, managing signals, train locations, all the critical
So
stuff.
silent guardians, you could say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
And we've been looking at a big new report to really get a handle on this market, where it is now and where it's headed.
okay, great. So for you joining us, our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're pulling out the key insights from this 2025 market report on global wayside control.
Mm.
We want to get the size, the growth forecast up to 2033, the main players, what's driving it, but, keep it clear, concise, without getting lost in the weeds.
Precisely. We've dug through all the analysis, the market numbers, the regional splits, company info. Think of this as your quick guide to understanding this really important sector.
Perfect. So let's jump right in. The big number first. What's the global market size looking like right now in 2025?
So the report estimates it for 2025 at about 1,720 million US dollars.
Okay, 1.72 billion. That's a significant starting point.
It is.
But it's not standing still, is it? What's the projection? Where's it going?
No, definitely not static. They're projecting it to reach, let's see, $279.16 million by 2033.
Wow, okay, so nearly doubling.
Yeah, it works out to a compound annual growth rate, a
Yeah.
CAGR, of 8.4% between 2025 and 2033.
8.4%. That's pretty robust growth.
It is, yeah, a healthy expansion.
So what's pushing that? What are the main forces behind that kind of number?
Well, a really big driver, according to the report, is the increasing adoption of digital tech.
Okay.
Things like IoT, the Internet of Things, AI, machine learning. Railways are using these more and more.
Right. For things like predictive maintenance, knowing when something might fail.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And also for smarter signaling, especially as networks get busier. These technologies, they just offer huge improvements in efficiency and, crucially, safety.
So the digital wave is really hitting the tracks, even if we don't always see it. Okay, let's talk geography. Where's the biggest chunk of this market right now?
Right now, 2025, North America is leading. It holds over 40% of the market share.
Over 40%.
Yeah, it comes in at about $636.4 million. And it's still growing, projected CAGR of 6.9% through 2033.
Makes sense. Big networks in the US and Canada. Any specifics within North America?
Yeah, the U.S. market is the biggest part of that, naturally.
Yeah.
Around 502 million in 2025, growing at about 6.7%.
Okay.
Canada's around 76 million, but growing a bit faster, 7.7% CAGR. And Mexico's about 58 million, with a 7.4% growth rate.
Interesting. So decent growth across the board there. What about Europe? They've got massive rail history, too.
Europe's also very significant. They account for over 30% of the market.
Okay.
That's about $498.8 million in 2025. And their growth is strong, too, projected at 7.4% CAGR. So lots of ongoing investment there.
Any standout countries in Europe?
Well, the report highlights a few. The UK is around $84 million, with a pretty high projected growth of 8.2%.
Right.
Germany, being a major hub, is bigger, nearly $99 million, going at 7.6%. And France is around 46 million with a 6.6% growth rate. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of activity across Europe.
Okay, so North America leads, Europe's strong. But I remember the report pointing to one region as being particularly dynamic.
Yes, you're talking about Asia Pacific, APAC.
That's the one?
Yeah, that's definitely the fastest growing region. Their share in 2025 is about 23%, so roughly $413 million.
Okay. Smaller share than North America or Europe currently.
Currently, yes. But the projected CAGR is 11.2% through 2033. That's significantly higher than the others.
11.2%. Wow. That really points to massive investment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reflects huge infrastructure projects, upgrades happening across Asia.
Which countries are really driving that in APAC?
China's a huge player, obviously. Their market's about 173 million in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Projected growth over 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And India's another key one. Smaller market now, they're around 41 million. But look at the growth projected CAGR of 13.1%.
13%. Goodness.
Yeah, it shows major government focus on expanding and modernizing their rail networks. Huge potential there.
So keep an eye on APAC, definitely. What about the rest of the world? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, they have smaller shares, but still important growth. South America is over 5% share, about
Yeah.
65 million, but growing fast at 9.1% CAGR. Brazil's a big factor there.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 2% share, maybe 69 million, but also high growth, 9.7%. Think Saudi Arabia's big rail projects.
Right.
And Africa is about 1% share, maybe 38 million, growing at 8.7%. South Africa is a key market showing promise. So while smaller today, these regions are definitely part of the future growth story.
Fascinating global picture. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The report breaks the market down by components, right? What are the pieces?
That's right. It looks at hardware, software, and services. Pretty standard breakdown.
And is one of those really standing out? Where's the action?
Well, interestingly, the report flags the software category as the fastest growing segment.
Ah, okay. That figures with the digital push we talked about.
Exactly. It's all about making operations smarter. Software is key for, better train scheduling, enhanced safety monitoring, predictive maintenance, using all that IoT data.
So it's the brains, not just the brawn, driving the growth.
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
But hardware's still a huge and growing segment too.
Right, you still need the physical stuff.
Absolutely. Signals, trackside detectors, communication gear, all that needs upgrading or installing, especially with network expansions and the push for more automation. So demand there is strong.
And services, maintenance, support.
Yeah. Services are vital too. Maybe not growing quite as fast as software, but essential for keeping everything running. Installation, maintenance, integration. It's a crucial, steady part of the market.
Okay, components covered. What about how these systems are used, the applications?
The report mainly splits that into two big areas: automatic train control ATC and centralized traffic control CTC.
ATC and CTC, which one's the bigger piece of the pie right now?
Currently, ATC holds the larger market share.
Okay, and ATC is primarily about...
Think safety, fundamentally. ATC systems automatically enforce speed limits, prevent trains getting too close, basically ensuring trains operate within safe boundaries,
Makes sense. Safety first.
always. And with regulations often mandating these kinds of systems, it's a widespread and fundamental application.
Got it. So what about CTC, centralized traffic control?
CTC is growing rapidly. This is about managing the network more broadly.
Like air traffic control, but for trains.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It lets operators monitor and manage trains, signals, switches across a large area from one central point.
Improving efficiency then.
Big time. Better scheduling, optimizing track use, quicker response to problems. CTC really boosts overall network performance and safety, so its adoption is really taking off.
So we see safety and efficiency as the twin engines here. What does the report say are the big overarching market drivers?
Well, several key things. First, just the basic growing demand globally for good public transport. More people in cities, need for sustainable travel. Railways are key.
A fundamental need. What else?
The sustainability angle is big too. Wayside Control helps optimize train movements, which cuts energy use, reduces the carbon footprint. Rail is already greener than many modes, and this helps make it even more so.
That's a really important point.
Definitely. Then there's the increased investment we see worldwide in public transport infrastructure generally. More funding for rail means more funding for systems like these.
Right, government initiatives and projects.
Exactly. Plus, the move towards smarter communication solutions, better real-time data flow between trains, tracks, control centers, and finally, just the overall push for more efficient operations, tracking, scheduling, maintenance, everything we've touched on.
Okay, lots of positive momentum. Does the report identify any major speed bumps, any restraints?
The main one mentioned is cost, the high initial investment needed for the infrastructure and the technology itself.
Ah, yeah. These aren't cheap systems to install or upgrade.
No,
Yeah.
especially for developing countries or smaller operators, it can be a significant barrier to entry or modernization.
A practical reality. Now, the report also mentioned market trends. Sounds like they overlap a lot with the drivers.
They really do. It
Yeah.
reinforces those points.
Yeah.
The increased adoption of smart communications, the constant need for more efficiency, and that rise in public transport investment. These aren't just drivers, they're ongoing trends shaping the market's direction.
Makes sense. So who are the companies actually building and selling this stuff? Who are the key players?
It's a competitive field, as you'd expect, a mix of big global names and some more specialized players.
Like who?
The report lists companies like Alstom Bombardier, remembering Alstom, bought Bombardier Transportation back in 21.
Right.
Then you have other giants, Hitachi, Siemens, Thales, ABB, GE Transportation. Even tech companies like Nokia, Cisco, Huawei are involved in the communication side.
Wow, that's a serious list of major industrial and tech players. Quite diverse.
It is, shows the complexity and importance of the sector.
And wasn't there a specific deal mentioned? Something about India.
Ah, yes, good point. In January 2025, Rail Vision Ltd. announced an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with a company called Sujan Ventures.
Okay.
Sujan is a big supplier to the Indian rail industry, and this MOU is basically Rail Vision's move to enter that market. It
Hmm.
really highlights, again, just how attractive and potentially huge the Indian railway network is seen to be.
Interesting move. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, let's crystallize the main takeaways. What should you, our listener, really remember?
Okay, three key things, I think. First, that growth rate. 8.4% CAGR projected between 2025 and 2033. It signals really strong, sustained expansion.
Right. Strong growth.
Second, the software segment is really the powerhouse behind much of that growth,
Yeah.
driven by efficiency needs, safety, cost savings, and all the advancements in IoT and AI.
Software's king. Okay.
And third, application-wise, automatic train control, ATC, still holds the biggest share right now, mostly because of those critical safety regulations and the basic need for automated train operations.
Got it. So, to sum up for you listening, a big market getting bigger, growing at over 8% a year. It's being fueled by digital tech, especially software. APAC is the fastest growing region to watch, and safety systems like ATC are still the bedrock. Hopefully that gives you a much clearer picture of this vital industry that operates mostly out of sight.
It's pretty amazing stuff when you think about the tech involved.
It really is.
And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. How do these advances in these sort of behind-the-scenes technologies like wayside control actually affect our daily lives? And what about the future of transport overall?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe think beyond rail, too. What other big infrastructure sectors, energy, water, communications, are going through similar smart transformations? It's worth considering the ripple effects of this shift towards a smarter, more connected world all around us.